A lot of people ask me, what's the best advice to someone who wants to be a director? And the answer I give is very simple. Be a director. Pick up a camera, shoot something, no matter how small, no matter how cheesy, no matter whether your friends and your sister star in it. Put your name on it as director. Now you're a director. Everything after that, you're just negotiating your budget and your fee.
The first requirement of anybody to do this job is inordinate stamina. If you ain't got stamina, don't do it. You got to drive the bus. You have to lead the way. That's the term director, and that's what it's about.
You have to be persistent, first of all, because it's a very hard thing to get into, and it's very hard to make it because the odds are against you. So you have to be you have to really love it. Kids that get into it because they think they're going to make a lot of money or they're going to become famous or tell a lot of people what to do all the time, it's probably best to get into a different business because they'll never make it. But if you're obsessed with film and you love to tell stories and you love working in that medium, that'll give you the strength to be persistent to make it happen.
What I kind of learned early on is that your voice is as important as anyone else's. Now, you may not always be right, and you shouldn't be cocky about it, but that there's a kind of, I felt like I needed to learn that the ideas that I had were as good as anyone else's ideas. It's one of those things I think that it's good to be reminded, or if you don't know it at all, be told that thing that you feel, if you really feel it, other people do too.
And the one thing I remember thinking initially when I was trying to make films, and you always felt like you got nervous that somebody else was right who was talking to you, who maybe was in a position of power, like that their opinion somehow was right or better than yours, and somehow you could never stop to think like, no, it's just different. You just think differently than I do, and that's okay, but I'm not wrong.
When you're starting out particularly, you have to play to your strengths. You have to do something that really excites you, and whatever's different about that. In the case of Following, the non-linear structure was a somewhat unusual choice, but it's those things that are the strength of the project. It's the things that you can bring to what you're doing or bring to the filmmaking craft that maybe not everybody else is doing, maybe not everybody else can do or has thought to do. That's what's going to distinguish the thing. For me, I think the answer was definitely to try to play to my strengths and the things that I personally was passionate about.
And what I've learned is that the stuff that I got in trouble for, the casting for The Godfather or the flag scene in Patton, was the stuff that was remembered and was considered really the good work. The stuff that's your best idea or work is going to be attacked the most ferociously, probably because it's new or because they'd never seen an opening of a movie like that or seen a gangster movie done in the style. So you have to really be courageous about your instincts and your ideas, because otherwise you'll just, knuckle under and change it, and then things that might have been memorable will be lost.
When you make a film, in a sense you're forced to confront one of the fundamental truths of filmmaking, that filmmaking is not about the film that you would make in the abstract. It's about the film that you can make in practice. Filmmaking is an activity defined by the creative mission blended with what's possible, So you might want to do film X, but you might only have money Y and time Z, if that makes sense. And somehow, out of that matrix of conflicting factors, what it is you want to do versus the resources that you've got versus the time available, it's in the interplay and the conflict between those three factors that the actual film is made. And so the more that you can expose yourself to that process, the more you'll develop the creative muscles that you need to pursue a career as a filmmaker.
If you want to be a filmmaker, the best thing you can bring to the world is your own story. And there's something that's very personal to you and something that you have your own singular connection to that if it really is important to you, there are people all over the planet that will relate to it. So the mistakes happen when you try to figure out what everyone likes, because the only thing you can be sure of is what you like. And the reality is what you like ends up being what a lot of people like, because we're all going through a very similar journey, and that's the magic of film.
If you dislike the movies that are being made, make your own. Show the world what you want to do, what you think this medium should be. And I find that much more creative than simply putting it down and complaining about it. It's a more active, fascinating role to take. So the advice is, if you want to direct, and even easier, if you want to write.
The thing that deeply moves me about cinema is to see 200 people in the mud under the rain trying to create poetry together. I love to surround myself by people that are there because they love cinema, not because they love themselves. You know, if you want to do it with me, unfortunately, the only way I can do it is my way.
3, 2, 1, action!
For me, everything I did to do with the camera, to do with editing, was useful experience and stuff that paid off when I came to actually, make features. And really, everything you do, you learn from. In terms of any time you're shooting something, short film, particularly short film, when you try to write the script for a short film, it's very difficult to write a short film. I think in some ways it's harder than for a feature to have a complete idea in just a few minutes and have a beginning, a middle, and an end, or have an appropriate conclusion. So you learn a lot about narrative structure doing shorter films. But really, every job I did, including corporate videos and industrial training films and things where I'd have to go to a company and throw up some lights, shoot interviews, with executives and things like that. You're always learning about your craft. You're always learning about, how to balance the pragmatic requirements, the race against time, using the equipment you've got in a short space of time to sort of get something that you can use. It's all useful experience.
Work wherever you can. It doesn't matter what. A documentary, a commercial, wherever you can get near a camera, wherever you can, especially if you're a director. You're not going to be a director until you put your eye into that finder. And it doesn't matter what. There's no such thing as good work or bad work. There's only work at the beginning. Until you've got enough under your belt technically and have your legs under you, until you've learned to walk, you need all of it.
What matters most for successfully making a good movie? What would you say?
I think self-reliance. Everybody's complaining, the industry is so stupid. I do not get the money together, and so I say, roll up your sleeves. You earn $10,000, $20,000 and you can make a feature film today. There's no excuse anymore.
Learning to make films is very easy. Learning what to make films about is very hard. And what you really got to do is focus on learning as much about life and about various aspects of it first, and then learn just the techniques of making a movie. Because that stuff you can pick up pretty quickly.
Set, action!
We don't do anything without an idea. So they're beautiful gifts. And I always say, desiring an idea is like a bait on a hook. You can pull them in. And if you catch an idea that you love, that's a beautiful, beautiful day. And you write that idea down so you won't forget it. And that idea that you caught might just be a fragment of the whole, whatever it is you're working on. But now you have even more bait. Thinking about that small fragment, that little fish, will bring in more. And they'll come in and they'll hook on. And more come in, and pretty soon you might have a script.